Jean-Francois Cousin, he's an MCC, Global Board of the International Coaching Federation Professional Coaches, and chair of ICF Global Board in 2019. He's here with us to talk about the top 10 insights that you wish you knew when you started your coaching journey. And we encourage you to be ready to engage in questions regarding membership benefits so you can really make sure all the perks that, make sure to know all the perks that come with being a global member. We also have set some time aside later if you like to, if we spill over the time to ask additional questions personally to him too, that's not in regards to membership. Right now it is 7, is it 7:30?
7, yeah.
And we're his last event for the evening. So we've been blessed to be able to have this time slot. So he's not pressed for time. Permission has been granted for him. Jean-Francois, go ahead and without further ado.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Gay, for your kind introduction. And thanks very much, Lubna, for your kind invitation. I'm super happy to be with you all. And I know, and I've met some of you, and happy to see you there as well. Yeah. And also it's an opportunity for me to reminisce down memory lane, a very good time I enjoyed with some of you back in October 2017 on the 17th. In fact, we had that wonderful evening at Smith and Wollensky, sorry, on the South Point Park Pier, you know, in my beach. And then it was so nice. I've made new friends that I've kept everything. I think it's a beauty of ICF that we wonderful people and have many chances to stay connected. I mean, some of you I met again at Converge last year in Prague, or on Community of Practices, or on some chapters webinars, and also on Facebook. And yeah, so nice. Life is good, even though I have to say my heart goes with you when you have hurricanes in this hurricane season, right? It's not an easy time. And so we're gonna relax a bit to get started. And that was how I started my presentation back October 2017. In fact, as we introduced the theme, which was where the development of leaders, agility, skills and coaching mastery meet. And today we can reason nothing is under control. Everything is gonna emerge. I'd love to check with you through a quick poll how long you've been a coach, so I can try and serve you at my best. So okay, well, there will be no poll for some technical reasons I prepared, but it doesn't seem to work. Perhaps, Mr. Gay, you can start polling on your end or not? No? Okay, it was working before. Anyway, how about we do this? You just type in the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. One for you coming here out of curiosity and interest, but you've not started coaching actually. Or 2, you've been less than a year in the business, and then on and on. So we have a sense of our combined experience, in fact. And thanks, I'm seeing some answer come up. So we've got the 4, we've got the 3, 2, 6, more than 10 years. Yeah. Okay, 4 to 6. All right. Okay. So we have quite a variety. And so far, the youngest of us in the profession is Drew. Great to have you, Drew. And all right. And then Suzanne is perhaps the most experienced with over 30 years in the profession. Suzanne, wow, so glad to have you as well. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks for playing the game, everyone. And so I'm going to share some a medley, actually, of a presentation I have done for the first time at WBEX year and a half ago. And that was 10 insights to coach at your very best and 10 tips that I had harvested by then over my first 10,000 coaching hours. And also mix that with a few insights about business development. So hopefully there is a bit of food for thought for everyone, right? Both on the mastery development side and also on the very practical business side. And at the end of the presentation, I'll give you links to download the full presentation on the 10 insights and the 10 tips, right? And I'd like to start with asking you that question from Peter Drucker, you know, the 20th century supreme management guru. And Peter Drucker was going around Africa seeing his clients, and when he met them, he never failed to ask them the question, what business are you in? Which is a very difficult question to answer. And I'd love to invite you, if you don't mind, to answer perhaps with one word or two the question. So we coaches are in the business of tada. Would you like to stay with me on this one and write in the chat box one or two words about what business you consider that we are in as coaches, in fact. Thanks very much. Helping people, building champions, human development, clarification, leadership development, change, inspiring humanity, empowerment, developing people. Beautiful. Thanks very much, everyone. And more coming. Individual development. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks. And I'd love to share with you my own answer. That's kind of including also yours, in fact. Right? To me, we coaches are in the business of unconditional love. We the ones in the lives of our clients who offer unconditional love, right? We have no judgment. We welcome everything, and it's interesting. I want to share a moment with you about that book, $1 Trillion Coach, that was written by Eric Schmidt, and he's as you know, he was the CEO and chairman of Google for its first 20 years in business. So quite awesome guy. Then he kind of retired from these executive positions and he decided to write a book. And he wrote the book about his coach, Bill Campbell, called the $1 Trillion Coach, because Bill Campbell was also the coach of almost anyone who is someone in the Silicon Valley, right? Including the guys at Facebook and many others, right? And it's interesting, the book opens up at the funeral of Bill Campbell, who unfortunately deceased like about 3 years ago. And so Eric Schmidt, Google CEO, is at the funeral together with Mark Zuckerberg and all the other guys, 1,000 of them in a little stadium, in fact, for the funeral ceremony. And the takeaway is, after the ceremony is completed, all these guys are chatting with each other, and they realize that they all call Bill Campbell their best friend. So to each and every one of them, their coach, Bill Campbell, was their best friend. Yeah, and then the book has a chapter 5, which is, as you can see, called like Celine Dion's song, right? The Power of Love. And the message there is that in the world of perhaps the nerdy world of the Silicon Valley, to Eric Schmidt, the most important contribution of Bill Campbell was to bringing love, in fact, so that those people, some of them nerdy, perhaps not very developed in terms of emotional intelligence, could open their heart, right? And then develop person-to-person relationships instead of just brain-to-brain relationship. And he said that made a huge shift in those companies and was very instrumental in taking them to success. Yeah, so much for love, right? And then I'd love to say, to ask you another question, and that is, when you feel, how do you feel the first second you meet your client for a session? the very first second. Well, let's say it's a rhetorical question. I'll just share my answer with you because we're a bit pressed for time. And my answer is, I feel like a puppy, you know, like wagging its tail, full of love and super excited. And it's uncontrollable. And I'm thinking it probably helps to get immediately in that space that because it's founded or anchored in unconditional love is really safe and besides that tactically I would say it also gives the permission to offer tough love, right? To stretch. And Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher a few thousand years ago, said something really important. I believe that being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving deeply gives you courage. And there I would say we have the coaching partnership all set up, right? And in particular, we've got that possibility for the coach to with courage the client for the benefit of the client. Yeah. Now, that's the first insight, right? Coaching is an act of unconditional love, and I'd love to tell you a far more mundane story. And that was a story of significant distress on my part. 2 years into the profession, I had my first big client who was based in Singapore. And as you heard before, I'm based in Bangkok, right? So I had to fly at the time to see him once a month. And I was terrified at the mere idea of going to see him again. He was the big boss of one of the top luxury brands in the world for Asia Pacific, right? So he had attained in the world of corporate a level that was way above wherever I had landed myself. And I was really asking myself, how dare you, right? Who are you to go and coach this awesome gentleman, very kind person, when you have absolutely no clue of his business and what happens at his level of seniority, right? And I was really almost sick every time I took the plane out of duty because the company had paid for my fees in advance, right? And I could not back out anyway. And so I took the issue with my mentor. Of course, that's a great thing we have with ICF also, right? That we really encourage strongly to have mentors, right? And so I explained her my distress with a lot of gestures, as French people do. And then she caught my right hand moving a lot. And she said, "Hey, JF, even by Frenchman standards, your right hand is really moving frenetically. What message does your right hand have to have for you?" Right? So I was shocked by the powerful question, and I looked at my right hand, and I spoke for it, of course, and I said, "My right hand is telling me I have an imposter syndrome. And actually, I'm misunderstanding the nature of the transaction with the client. I have to really accept that this is an interaction in partnership where it's not my job to know better. It's my job to partner as a thinking partner with the client. And so that's 2 years into the job when I eventually understood the power of, well, very simply, ICF's definition of coaching, right? Which is anchored in partnership. Coaching is partnering with a client in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential, right? So not much glory for me, but then ever since there was no more anxiety because we were partners. And my mentor offered a very nice metaphor, which I want to share with you. She said, you know, imagine you are in the jungle with your client, right? You're out there in the middle of the thick forest and figuring out together what's the best way ahead, weighing pros and cons of different possibilities. And no one has to be smart, and you just have to brainstorm. So I wanted to offer that very simple insight, yet because it took me so long to really get it, I thought perhaps it can be helpful. And then I want to take you to Bangkok finally, right? And that is my first place of business. As you can see, it's not glamorous, and it's a townhouse that I had rented on the very, very cheap with 3 levels. And because I didn't want at the beginning of my second career in coaching, right, to spend money I didn't make. I had sub-rent the first floor to a friend of mine who was in piping business. So the first floor was full of pipes and dirt, right? And the second floor I was renting to a friend of mine who is an artist, a sculptor, right? So the second floor was full of wax and clay, super dirty. And I was at the third floor with that little crappy office and my bedroom, and that was it basically, yeah. And so I had been trying for so many months, right, to get clients, and as I was studying at coaching school, and nothing was coming at all, right? It was hundreds of emails and no answer, except one day. I had shot an email to the CEO of the biggest FMCG company in Thailand, and one of the top worldwide, right? So 7,000 employees, huge thing. I had kind of guessed his email address, right? And just thought of nothing better than try my luck. At 8 a.m. I sent the email, and at 8:10 he answered a one-liner, which was, let's meet tomorrow, your office, 4 p.m. And I was devastated, right? Because that meant this distinguished gentleman would come into my mess, right? Would have to climb his way up through the dust and the dirt of the first and second floor to my little crappy office at the top, yeah? And so I spent all my time until the next day, 4 p.m., cleaning whatever I could, and then he came, yeah? And then he went, well, interestingly, he came on a Vespa motorcycle, not a big car with a driver, by himself. And so he parked his little motorcycle, went up the stairs with no comments, sat on my one chair, well, one of my 2 chairs in the office, and then just told me, okay, tell me about what you're doing. So I was thinking, oh, Jesus, this is going to be the shortest conversation ever because I'm basically doing nothing, right? And so I managed to talk for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, and he was saying nothing. And then he asked me probably 20, perhaps 30 questions to just verify the accuracy of every single statement I had made over my 5 to 10 minutes little talk, in fact. So it was not very pleasant, to say the least. And so I responded, and then I walked him down the dirty stairs. He went on his Vespa, said, all right, we'll be in touch if we see a chance to use your services. And I thought, yeah, sure, of course. Then he disappeared at the corner of the street, and I thought, wow, not a very good day. Well, then to my surprise, the next day morning, the secretary of his vice president manufacturing gave me a call asking me if I could be available for a coaching session with the SVP manufacturing, right? And asking me when would be a good time. So of course my calendar was empty until the end of time. It was not very difficult. And so I did the session. A few days later, which luckily went well. And then the CEO asked me to go and meet his other senior vice presidents, right? All of them. In fact, just to informally talk about what they were doing, what I was doing, and would there be any synergies. And so I've been working for like 13 years for that company, not only in Thailand, but Singapore and Indonesia. And why am I saying this to you? You might ask. So to persistence is important, right? Smart is better, but perhaps I don't have much of that. At least I have persistence, right? So don't drop the ball too early when you're starting a business. Often coaches in coaching school tell me, okay, I have a plan to have 3 clients in 3 months. And I say, oh, no, that's way too much. If you tell me I plan to have 12 clients in 12 months, I say, yes, go. But 3 in 3 months is too dangerous. You're going to just pitch a bar too high for yourself, right? It takes time, right? It takes persistence. So don't take the risk of being discouraged just because you had too high estimate about the curve, the business acceleration. Right? Second thing, perhaps, is that 5 years later, that CEO and I had become friends, and I asked him, why did you give me a chance when you saw me in my little crappy office? And he said, yeah, wow, that was a definition of crappy indeed, yeah. But there you were, and you were just yourself. You were authentic, you were humble, vulnerable, you didn't pretend, right? You see, and I am so fed up of these well-dressed, arrogant consultants who know it all, and I don't trust them at all. And you, in your little shack, you were appearing trustworthy. And then don't fool yourself, right? Don't kid yourself, right? I gave you one minor chance, which was just to meet one of my guys, right, to test. And if you had messed up, then that was the end of the story, right? But the point is, to me, very, very important. We are in the most humble profession, perhaps, in the world, right? When you think of it, right? No credit goes to us, and that's not the point for us anyway, right? All credit goes and should go to our client. They are the heroes. We are backstage operators, right? Really humble creatures, right? It's all about unleashing the greatness in others, totally not about pursuing any claim for greatness ourselves when we dance with the client, right? So it's only fitting that we would be super authentic, humble, and vulnerable. And then there's a tactical side, of course, and a tactical advantage, I would say, to that, which is we give permission then to clients to be just the same, right? Authentic, humble, and vulnerable. And then great material comes up for the discussion, right? Because they're not holding anything back, and we have, and they have, fantastic material for our work, and great conversation and great coaching work can happen, right? And so that is an advice I'd love to give to young coaches who may not have figured that out yet, right? As I didn't, yeah. Don't play anybody else than you, and show that humility, vulnerability, and authenticity when you go and meet potential clients, because then they will trust you. And if they hire you, they will hire you with no risk of surprise later on in how you are and who you are, right? So, yeah. Now, insight number 4 is go deeper sooner, right? You see, we paid to do our work, right? And therefore, we have to co-create maximum value with our clients, right? And often clients bring the top of the iceberg to conversations with us, right? And why wouldn't they? They've not done the work yet on what's really important, what it's all about at a deeper level, right? So it's only normal that they bring the top of the iceberg to the conversation. Now, we must be very prompt in going deeper very soon, in fact, right? And the way to do that is, for example, to just ask them, thank you for bringing this topic to the conversation, right? And I'd love to understand how it is important to you. and then they will tell you something that's deeper already, and then perhaps you can take it further down, right? And by asking, and at a deeper level, what could it really be about? And then probably you go closer to the goal, right? In a way, clients bring you the ore, and with them you've got to extract the gold. And of course, before you contract an objective for the session, it's important that you found something of great value to the client that's going to be worth 10 times the fee they will pay you for the session, right? And then insight number 5 is the importance of dancing with our clients. And I just brought that because it took me a long time to understand what those ICF markers, were really meaning when they were talking about the dance with the client, right? And actually, it's so very important. I mentioned earlier on the importance of partnership, right? And then the dance is when we partner to co-create the next steps that we take in our dance, right? And we do that with questions such as, what next step would you like to take, for instance, or us saying, I'm kind of lost here, have no sense of what could be the best way for us to move from here. And then they will automatically jump in and say, I have an idea. I think we should go explore that way, which is perfect, right? Because you want them to do the job, right? A great session is when the client does most or all of the job. And that really leads me to show you a little extract from the movie Ray. And Ray is that fantastic jazz man who became blind when he was about 7 years of age. He could see well before that, and sadly, he turned blind. And then I want to invite you to watch that moment in the movie where his mother realizes that, wow, he's really going to become blind and there's no way back, right? And chooses her behavior. And to me, it could be perhaps the very best coaching session ever. And here we go.
Help! Mama! Mama, help! Mama, help! Mama, help, please! I need you! Mama, help! Mama! I hear you too, Mama. You're right there.
Yes, I am.
Why are you crying, Mama?
Because I'm happy.
Tissue, anyone? So I guess the point is the case can rest, right? The power of silence is vastly underrated, right? And as young coaches, I think we all fall err on the side of being so much in action, right? And opening our mouths so much, right? Which each time pollutes the thinking of the client, right? So my message is why don't we try to coach more with our eyes and ask questions with our eyes, or express the wish to know more with our eyes, or express that we do not understand and we would love that the client explains us better, right? Let's coach with our eyes, right? And of course, with that unconditional unconditionally loving presence that that beautiful mother of beautiful little Ray was exhibiting, right? Also, you see that she decides to let him burn his fingers a little bit, right? Because that's a great way to learn what not to do, right? And actually, when you think of it, when you observe a coach who is really masterful, you will mistake that coach for the mother of Ray. I guess there is this absolute trust that the client is able, is resourceful, creative, and whole, right? And that the mere loving presence, right? Is already going to do an enormous part of the work, right? And like Susan is saying, it's not our job to save someone, right? And I would so concur, Susan, in my own words. I often say it's not our job to help our clients, right? It's our job to help them help themselves, and that's vastly different. And I would add that in times of crisis, the last thing we want to do to be is a nice coach. We don't want to be a nice coach. We don't want to be a nice coach because we're not paid to be nice. We paid to help clients help themselves, which is infinitely more valuable, even in the short term, and of course in the long term, to the client, right? They don't need to pay to have somebody be nice to them, right? Nice in a crisis, not good, right? Our clients need to get tougher, right? Clearer in their minds, tougher in their mindset. Being nice is just not going to cut it. It's not honoring the contract, right? Yeah. Yeah, and so that's why I wanted to offer that insight number 6, which is about the power of silence, right? It's really our best advice. I would say, let the silence and the client do the heavy work. To me, it's when the most value is created in coaching sessions, right? Now I have another insight that comes from my hectic hectic business start, right? So the first website I ever put together was the website of the Jack of all trades. As you can see on the top right, I was proposing executive coaching, life coaching, career coaching, whatever coaching I was proposing, right? That is very, very bad. Of course, there was business in Asia for all of that, because when I started 14 years ago, coaching was really in its infancy, right? But it's not because there is business that necessarily you should go for it, right? Another very bad thing I did unwittingly was that my first public appearances at the request of chambers of commerce were about cross-cultural management. And I immediately got tagged as the cross-cultural coach, which was absolutely not what I wanted to focus on, in fact, right? And so my message is, first of all, be very careful when you start, right? That your first, the moment you become visible for exactly what you want to be perceived as, right? Don't do my mistake, right? It took me 5-6 years to shake off that image, right? Of, yeah, that guy, he's into cross-cultural management and coaching about it, right? Just because I had been an expat in Thailand and managing a company in that country before. Yeah, that was why I was invited to talk about cross-cultural management, but again, not my focus. Now, how to choose a niche? You've got to focus to what matters most for you and what makes your heart sing. Yeah, and then so for me, it's as simple as helping leaders catalyze greatness within themselves and in their organizations, right? Leaders and teams all together, and that's the only thing I offer, right? It's for leaders and teams, and it's about catalyzing greatness within themselves, the teams and the organization. Period. Nothing more. Yeah. So let's go about niche building. Perhaps it has, I think, to be at the intersection of your purpose, your capability, the market demand, and by market demand I mean part of the market demand that pays for your services at the level you need. Yeah. The part that cannot afford the fees that you need then is not for you. And of course, we in coaching, we do some pro bono work, right? So we are not mean bastards, right? We generally quite good-hearted people, right? But then when it comes to business, it's important that there is a you very careful in choosing your fees, right? Because it will determine which clients come to you, right? I've seen that over time, right? And so, yeah, you take care of your business, and then it does not mean you do your pro bono coaching as we all do, and then everybody's happy. Yeah. So that niche should be at that sweet spot, right? Your purpose is what makes your heart sing, right? Now your capability is well, obviously what you're capable of and what you're credible for, and then the market demand I talked about. And I'd say you can have a niche divided into 3 sub niches, right? Because that have you walk in business on 3 legs, like a 3-leg stool is robust enough, right? Less than 3 legs can be a bit risky, because when one is weak, then you seriously limp, right? With 3 legs, you can still walk fairly steadily, even in adversity. Yeah. So my thing is, choose maximum 3 coaching areas that really make your heart sing, that are congruent, right? That can belong together, reinforce each other, right? And not more. And I'm conscious of our time here. We may not have time to do a bit of an experiential exercise. I wanted, but we have more time for Q&A, yeah, and for experience sharing from you also, so we can all enjoy that. And it was just asking you to reflect about your posture and your way of being when you're with a client, and it's ripple effects on a prospect you meet, right? And so what I wanted to offer about this are 8 traits of a coach that really enables great progress in clients. I mentioned some before. The one I want to emphasize here is the power of the posture being a learner from the client's greatness, right? I'm just going to show you this picture in larger size where the coach is obviously the little guy and the client is obviously the wiser, more experienced guy, right? And I've shown that picture in Asia so many times, right? To really make it clear that although socially coaches are kind of put in the box of teachers for lack of another box, right? Actually, in a coaching session, the teacher is really the client and the student is that candid, curious, challenging, light-hearted, somewhat provocative kid and coach, right? And so, yeah, and I'm diving deeper about this in a podcast. So when you receive the slide deck, you can just click on it. Actually, it's a podcast with a friend of ours, Gideon, in Washington, D.C. area. He just sat on at a coffee table with Magda Mook, our CEO in ICF, and me, and got us to talk about some nonsense and also some deep things. And that's where I elaborate a bit more about the power of that posture of the student, of the coach's greatness, right? And then insight number 9 is relax. Your presence and your intention matter a lot more than your questions, as long as your intention is really to help and stretch your client so that they can help themselves, right? You will do a great work. Don't worry so much about finding that super powerful question that's gonna create an instant aha, right? As long as you worry about it, you're not present, so you're not there, you're not doing the work, right? So just trust that the presence and that unconditional love and high expectations and trust in the client's potential are there. And then the magic will happen. The last insight, and that's also coming from the business development part, right? Has to do with the Maldives, actually. When I was quite, in my early days in coaching, I got super excited once because I got that email from the head of human resources for Asia Pacific for the Six Senses Resort, which is like a beyond luxury resort all around Asia, and particularly they've got a gorgeous one in the Maldives. In fact, and I thought, oh my God, if I coach resorts GMs, I'm gonna fly all over those exotic places and get my dream vacation to the Maldives. So I was super excited when I got to see the guy, and that was really in my very early days, right? I was not ICF certified yet. And I was so happy to see that good gentleman, right? And actually, what followed was the shortest meeting ever in my career. So he said, good to see you. Okay, so you are a coach. Yeah, so I said, yeah, I'm growing to be one. Are you ICF credentialed? He asked. I said, no, not yet. I've not completed sufficient hours. So he said, well, then we'll have our conversation when you are credentialed and come back to see me by then. So bye-bye Maldives, right? I've never been there since, right? Okay, so obviously the idea is be ICF certified, maintain your credential for all the good reasons. I know I'm preaching the choir, right? But just in case some of us are not yet certified, do not yet have a credential, then do yourself a favor, right? And get there in the right way. And then it's more and more common that organizations require an ICF credential, in fact, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. And with this, I want to say I've got a couple of little gifts for you. And then one is the full presentation about 10 insights and 10 tips to coach at your very best, right? So actually, the 10 insights I've shared with you before are a few come from those other 10 insights, right? And a few come from insights about business development, because I had the sense that both would be useful. In that presentation that you can download out there, it's purely about coaching and some insights and tips that help progress towards mastery. Yeah. And these are the 10 insights. I'm not going to go through them. These are the tips. So the second part of the presentation is way more practical. Something more is that my WBEX presentation this year was on coach versus chaos, right? And it's how to adjust the way we are and what we do in a coaching session when we have totally overwhelmed clients. In fact, and of course, you know WBEX format, right? It's quite short. So there is a short demo of 8 minutes with an overwhelmed manager, right? And so when you get the slide deck, you can just click on the picture and go to see that short talk if you're interested in the topic. Another little gift is just access to my YouTube channel, because I've taken care to put lots of inspiring videos out there. And in case you have nothing to do one day and you think, hey, why don't I get inspired? Then perhaps you go get there too. You can go there too, right? And the last little gift is I'm doing a free webinar series about leadership in crisis for mostly a corporate audience, in fact, right? Whoever wants to join is welcome. It's 12 free webinars, 30 minutes, so very high-paced format about a range of topics. And you're most welcome to register if you'd like to, on some of the topics, right? You just have to click on the links to the right side. Yeah. Welcome on board. It's, however, I have to say at 5 a.m. your time, so not super comfortable. If you register, you get a link to the recording, of course, so you can watch it at a more decent hour. And that was it. I wanted to say just a few words about what inspires me as a longtime member of ICF, right? And one thing is a community of practices, right? Which we can access freely, and there are so many of them. Do you know there are 10 communities of practices, right? So for all tastes, right? And wow, and they have quarterly calls, right? And sometimes additional events, right? And my God, I'm so enthused and learning so much, and also feel so happy to be part of this generous community we are, right? Where everyone's comes and gives all they have to others, right? It's very rare to have a community of professionals where there is this level of selflessness and generosity when we interact all together. I'm very proud to belong to our community. Business development series are better and better, right? This year it's over 12 months with a lot of small group implementation sessions, and it's so very helpful. We've got lots of things on research. People often do not know. So I've put some links up there for you to just check if you really are aware of the full wealth of what we have, right? And you can see, you can search for articles or anything coaching, right? And you'll find some valuable resources. You have also some regular studies we do about consumer awareness, global coaching study, which will be released for its next edition. Yeah, and more and more. And then often also we're not aware of what's in the member toolkit but there are plenty of things, right? So you need to log in with your name. Yeah, just log in the website, right? And access, as is indicated here, to the toolkit to see what's in there. And there's lots of stuff, and particularly for new coaches, right? There are lots of time-saving things like templates for this or that. Coaching World blog is a continued daily inspiration, really. And the Credential Coach Finder can help, yeah? For any question, of course, you know how to reach the ICF, right? On the website. And now we go to the Q&A, and I'm going to stop sharing, as often I did not manage my time well, for which I really apologize. We still have a few minutes before you have to go. It's not just a Q&A, it can be also an experience sharing, because some of you are way more experienced than me in coaching, right? So by all means, you're so very welcome to offer anything that can help and inspire all of us, right? Who'd like to go first?
I would like to just jump in and just mention one of my greatest takeaway that I'm just gonna keep with me as long as I'm on this earth is that the client is the teacher. That picture that you shared, Jean-Francois, it was, wow, what an eye opener that the client versus the child, and the client is the wiser person. Just that picture has spoken so many words, and thank you for that. Thank you for helping us capture that vision.
Thanks so much, Michigan. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hey, cool. Yeah.
I see Anne wanted to say something, and were you trying to say something? Anne, yeah? You can unmute.
Thank you so much. This was so incredible. And I love the part about the consultants, because you are so spot on about consultants beating their chest. They're going to carry you to, the place you need to be. And I was someone that had a big humility lesson, and the humility is wonderful. I had a son who was going to drop out of school, and I've said this before, but I held on. And then when I found someone that taught me to let go, he became a standout from a dropout. And this letting go and the humility of letting the other person be the main stage and letting go of your ego, it's just incredible. I'm going to listen to this over and over again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And so good to have you with us today. And thanks for that super thing. Your story, and it's going to stay with me all the same. Yeah. So powerful, right? Such a great lesson in parenting, right? Wow.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thanks so very much. What a gift. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
Who's next? Susan, unmute yourself.
Yep. So always love that part, JF, of the client being the teacher, because we often, coaches think they need to know something. They need to know where the session is going. They need to know what the answers are. They need to know where they're going to lead. And if we know something, then that's not partnering. And so one of the, as I teach at different universities, the coaching programs, we keep stressing partnering, and people don't get it until they let go of wanting to know something.
Thank you so much, Suzanne, right? You say that so much better. Now I know how to save 3 minutes next time. I talked about this. I will just repeat what you say. Yeah. We coach better when we don't know, right? Yeah. Wow. Thanks so much.
Yeah. For me, what resonated is and I told you this, Jean-Francois, before, the silence, that movie, that clip was just heartfelt. And thanks to you, 2 years ago, I saw this with you on a webinar. Was it last year? I don't remember. And I intentionally became a lot more silent. And it's so powerful. Just allowing the pause to happen, just powerful.
Yeah.
It was you.
Jean-Francois, here's Marcia, and I saw your WebEx presentation. It's amazing to see it again and like to reflect again with you. For me, one of the big lessons is to witness your journey, your personal journey as a professional, and how you were vulnerable, telling us where you started and witnessing where you are now. So I think it's and Susan, you are here too with a long journey. So you are people that we pay attention in our profession because we can grow and learn with you, with your example. So I really cherish to be with you in this journey. And I hope when I'm few years from now, be able to share my journey as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for inspiring us to how our careers can be a shiny one in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcia. What an honor, really. Yeah. And thanks for your kind words. Yeah. And yeah, it's never easy. Yeah. It's never easy, right? And I'm not sure it ever gets easier, right? Because we have this fantastic chance that we are in a job that it's impossible to do to perfection, right? And the part that we don't know about, I mean, yeah, in coaching, right? We have an infinite number of things we can learn. We will never be perfect. There will never be a really great session, and it's so very lucky, right? It keeps us grounded and humble, right?
Thank you.
Yes, Claire, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, apologies for not being on video. It's a morning for me. But hi, Jean-Francois. And I just wanted to comment on the book you mentioned, The $1 Trillion Coach, and that when the anecdote that when they asked his clients, Campbell's clients, what they thought of him, they described him as their best friend. And as I think about the clients that I have resonated with the most, they do become, and I mean, it does feel that connection is there. So that I enjoyed that because it kind of put the focus on the resonance that you have with your clients. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Claire. Aren't we in a beautiful, yeah. Thanks very much, Claire. And Angela is there also. Angela, hi. Yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to thank you for the presentation. It was very insightful. And one of the things I loved the stool with 3 legs, because it's about the Trinity, and having that balance is the power of 3. Having the ability to have 3 niches, really, it was a haha moment for me, because I have been struggling how to put all the different niches together. And the market demand makes a lot of difference, and so does the purpose and what you're good about. So that really closed my whole big question. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Suli. Wow, I'm glad you enjoyed that one. Yeah, I appreciate your mention of the Trinity as well. So, yeah, inspiring, actually. Thanks very much, Suli. Oh,
thank you.
Yeah. Great.
I just wanted to say thank you also. I'm a new coach, and it was a lot of inspiration and courage here from me, coming from you, and especially mentioning the story about the CEO and showing the place where you studied and how persistent, authentic, vulnerable, and humble you were. It's really inspiring. And like you said, do not put the goals too high. To have 3 clients in 3 months, but to have 12 clients in 12 months is more possible. So I really appreciate it. And for me, that will be a greatest takeaway. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. Wonderful. So happy you enjoyed that. And I saw a note of Susan, right, who said something really important. Huh? Every coach needs a coach. Oh, absolutely. Wow. Thanks for reminding this. We so concur. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we've already passed time. I'm happy to stay, yeah? But like Meshage said earlier on, it's the end of the day for me, so I have nothing better to do with the rest of my evening. But I know some of you have to go, right? So, yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, Anne. Anne has a question.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself.
Is he still on?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Hi. You know, I wanted to just say that I'm a late bloomer. When I was younger, I wasn't allowed to work, wasn't allowed to go to college, and I could cry thinking about this. But I hung in there, and I always felt inferior to people that went to college and things like that. And I was all of a sudden stuck when at a women's group, everybody had to stand up and say which college they went to. So I had to think fast on my feet. And I said, and I've been isolated alone. So sometimes I'm talking more about myself. I apologize. But I stood up and I said, well, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to law school, but I won a pro se case on appeal against a large institution and their big law firm. And it was just because it was passion. It was a moral victory, but I'm in the law books. So my point being that, you know, I'm interested in people that maybe have felt they haven't done much with their life. And if you know, but then at a later date, they sort of come into their own. And how do we coach people like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I'm with you. And I treasure the moments where I have the honor to coach self-made people, right? Because they've got so much to teach to the more fortunate of us, right? In that sense that we had an easier life, right? And I'm often so amazed, right? It's a big honor when I have a chance to coach someone who is self-made, yeah? Yeah, thanks very much, Anne, and cheers to you. Wow, great. Such a good
Thank you so much. You've given me so much today. That's why it's pouring out, because of what you said today. It's bringing it out. So that's why every coach needs a coach. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Great. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for your generosity and your forgiveness with my rushed delivery, and for your questions, your sharing. I had a fantastic time. So thanks again, Meshage and Lubna, for your invitation. Thanks again, Claire and Angela, for taking great care of me 3 years ago in Miami Beach, right? I have, like I showed at the beginning, the best memory. Thank you to the whole chapter for the inspiration, and all the very best wishes to everyone on the call. You all take care, right? These are tough times, but together we get to better times, and hopefully
we will see you again. We will see you again in Miami.
yeah, hopefully, yeah, that will be great. All
Thank
the best.
you, Jean-François.